Hello, guys, and welcome back to the channel. What a difference morning changes. To my left, I've got Wad. So, good afternoon.
Afternoon. How are you?
If you asked me an hour ago, I would have been like, no Friday, but things soon changed, especially with Super Cooper.
Buzzing, absolutely buzzing. I thought it was fake, to be honest. When I first saw it, I thought if someone sent it, man, I just thought, hang on, that someone's mucking me about here. There's no way he's signing any contracts after all what's happened this week. Reports that he's not even going to get offered one at any stage. He's going to get sacked if he doesn't beat Villa, and it looked all but 80% certain. I thought that you'd get sacked on like Tuesday, but wow. Didn't expect that. And, we found out he was going to stay at least one more game, but we're properly backing him now, which is what we want. And unless we're really stupid, I don't see us sacking him anytime soon now, because, like, if you're going to give him not just a 1 year deal extension, a 3 year deal, then they clearly have a lot of faith in him, even if it does continue to be rocky for even a few more games, which would obviously be very damaging. But we obviously have lots of faith in him, and this is the most important thing for me. With the Greeks are taken into account. It's obviously a very different squad in the hardest league in the world, where as we've seen, no easy games, even against the teams that have come up with us, teams that are in bad form. Yes, the results we've had have been getting worse. They've been awful. Leicester was you can't even really put into words how awful that game was, and throwing it away against Fulham and Bournemouth. They've been really bad. But it's a combination of lots of things. It's being in the Premier League, brand new squad essentially with about 8-10 players we had last season. It's lots to contend with, and it clearly isn't down to Cooper. And I think we're seeing really that the reports, I think some of it was true, because John Percy and Fabrizio Romero to report it clearly must have been true in some regard, but I don't think it was as close as what it was being reported. I can't remember what his name is. There's a Greek journalist that said a few times that it isn't even really close to actually happening, and now we've seen it. He's not just I'll be very curious to know what was he signed up to a new deal because of fan pressure, or were they going to do this anyway? I think they had it in their minds to probably do it at some point. I'm curious to know why it took until now. Maybe it was a case of right, let's not back him straight away. Let's just see how he gets on. But even if he does struggle, then again, if he struggles, why would you then give him a new contract? So it is weird. I don't really know why we waited until this moment to do it. So I think fan pressure did play a part, and it's good to see fans can have that influence on decisions, which just shows that we are considered, which is what we want. Ultimately, we're the ones that support the club. So it's excellent, brilliant news, and I just hope we stick by him now.
Definitely. It does make you wonder what's all this, what they said this week, bit of a smoke screen, or for him to sign a new deal, or was it, like you said, fan pressure finally got to him, and obviously they must realise that you can't expect instant success or us to be up there, especially in the toughest league in the world, as you said. So for it to finding for him to sign that new contract and put to bed all the rumours and everything, it's brilliant, because obviously, as you seen on Wednesday, they apparently they reported that they withdrew it. So, but
Yeah, I don't believe that, to be honest.
uh,
Just especially after what we've just seen. We go from. I mean, if this contract was on the table so soon, apparently, and it's only just been signed, and like a day or two before he signs a 3 year deal. That's a pretty big deal. 3 years. It's not even like it's just a 1 year extension. Then goes and signs the contract. There's no way that would have happened. Um, I'm really curious to know whether there's any truth behind the fact that he would have only got the Villa game, if it was make or break, which would have been very wrong, putting way too much pressure on the match and him. He didn't deserve that. It would have been a very horrible way for him to bow out if we were to lose that game. But I suppose it doesn't really matter now. We just need to focus on the future and what's to come, and just putting it right and finally trying to get the team flowing. And we love last season's team obviously hugely, but we all want to then try and do that with this team, and there's potential for that to happen for sure. But it was, you know, there's definitely a disconnect between the team and the fans, like complete difference from last season. I think we all had a connection to pretty much every single player last year, even the fringe players. I think we had some kind of affection for. Whereas this season, apart from the real standout new lads like O'Brien and Mangala, for instance, and to a point Henderson, I don't really think anyone's really got any kind of love for any of these players, or
Mm,
any kind of feeling towards them, and I don't think that's helping either. Like we look at the games, like no one's really doing any player chants right now because they're all new players. So eventually, I'm sure we'll be able to see some of those come out. And yeah, I look forward to that. But
mm.
it's just all about gelling, isn't it? Really, and I'm glad that Marcus has finally realised that. Well, I'm just glad that he knew it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was just thinking then, like, if you think about it, it's Cooper's first real chance of building his own team
Hmm.
with everything, and the second one was that with everything that it finally Dave Murphy looking like he's gonna stay from what John Pacey put out. So
Hmm.
obviously does look like that Murphy wanted him to stay, and it looked like he was on walk if Cooper was on walk. So there must have been a really strong influence from Murphy to keep him.
Yeah, it's I find it really interesting, the whole situation. Like this week, it's been pretty full on really for a Forest fan. We have a long international break. We get absolutely torn apart against Leicester. You think it can't get any worse than this, and the man that got us up is gonna go, which would have been terrible. But we've gone from thinking that he actually was going to go either the day after Leicester or after Villa to seemingly having maximum security, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see. So yeah, I'm just hoping that we stick by it. I'd be curious to know if there would come a point this season where, if it really, really is still going bad, that we would start to turn them again, which I hope we don't. We have to play it by ear, I suppose, but at least Cooper has relieved quite a lot of pressure, and he's still going to have pressure to get results, but it's good that it's not like hovering over him and the whole club now. That at the very least we know that Cooper can stay. And I'm just pleased that Marinakis has recognised the fact that it is far from just down to Cooper. I think yes, there's been quite a few weird decisions from him this season and team selections, but I don't. You can't really complain too much because ultimately he's having to find the best system, personnel, and then adding on top of that the players getting to know each other, him getting to know them. It's a lot. It's a lot of things to put into context. I look at the midfield more than anything. If you look at the amount of combinations we've had this season in midfield, it's unbelievable. Like the amount of different combinations. Like O'Brien and Kiwasa definitely didn't work against Leicester. And we had like Freuler and Yates. We had like Yates and Kiwate. But O'Brien and Mangala, I think, is definitely the one that works best. If it's going to be two, that is. If there's three in midfield, then obviously you can get someone else in there. But I think having O'Brien and Mangala is crucial, to be honest. Those two together. But my point is the fact we've seen all these different combinations just shows that it's one of the many things Cooper's trying to juggle. He's trying to see what works best. And change of formation just shows that he's even trying out different tactics in that regard. And I really firmly believe that yes, okay, it's a new league. He's made some mistakes, as he would do, no one's perfect. You know, eventually I think it will come good, and I'm just pleased that the Greeks have recognised that.
Definitely. To be fair, Mark, I'll give Mark absolute. He did say on Wednesday on the weather match show that perhaps I've withdrawn the contract offer to give him a better one. So Mark is Saki.
Possibly, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I will back Mark on that one. Jimmy saying a 3-year contract for Coops. Now let hope if Angelos gives him the time and patience to get through this season at Foley's. True. So for the game is likely win for us. Now it's the time for us to make the City ground a fortress as keeping as best manager to love. Maybe Clark. Statement.
yeah, probably is.
Hashtag quality. There you go.
Quality.
To commemorate. I'm not doing a fist bump video. Just in keeper with trust by Mr. Patrick. Always said he is a keeper for me. Uh, Fantastic news. And Patrick missing Samba.
Possibly,
um,
yeah.
yeah, I was saying that you're right. Earning secondary bosses are almost always a knee-jerk reaction to all the problems within the club. Getting rid of Coops right now would have been a biggest blunder of all time.
Absolutely.
O'Brien, Mangala, Freeler should start all for me. Either Jay Lynch or MGW on the bench. Um,
Absolutely.
Jimmy saying yes. But yeah, it's absolutely quality. um,
Perfect. Perfect word for this moment.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, and obviously it is good that it is what has happened has happened. Today's news will get us all going for Monday now because I think
Absolutely.
everyone going into Monday feeling the pressure and that. But I've seen that news today. Do you think it's a bit of a counter reaction to going into Monday's game from the Greeks to say here's the contract, sign it, just to try and get everyone like fired up for the game on Monday?
I mean, it changes the perspective completely, really. Like, you know, there'll still be a huge amount of backing from the fans towards him. I think the atmosphere will be better than the last two games because they have been a bit flatter compared to what we've had the last year or so. And um, yeah, I think really, you know, like we say, it gives him security and it changes the perspective really. Instead of us all thinking this is his last game if he doesn't win, even if we lose, we know that he won't go, which is what we all want. Obviously, there's probably still is a cut-off period of consistent defeats, but you know, I just love the fact that the owners are seeing the bigger picture, and it isn't all down to just the manager. And you know, sometimes in the past, it definitely has been. Houghton, for example, is a clear, you know, classic example of that. But I think with Cooper, it clearly isn't. You know, there's a much bigger reason behind it, and I still quite firmly believe that when we consider the signings, I don't think all of them were down to Cooper, and I still think that's quite, you know, bad that that shouldn't have been the case. But at the very least, the owners are still realizing no matter who signed them, you know, they've got to get to know each other and not as people, but well, no, as people and as footballers as well. And you know, it's great. It's great to see.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, really, really happy. I mean, going in against Villa, I mean, big game to say. That, I mean, Villa are well, not a massive of Forest, but obviously they do have some threat. I mean, they have had a bit of an up and down season, and they got some results. They had some bad results, but I mean, they have got some players in there that can do some harm on the day. Don't you think?
Yeah, Villa are a very frustrating team to be honest, because I've always quite liked them as a club. There's not many clubs that I really care about besides Forest, but you know they're a big club with a very good fan base and a lot of potential, but it's not been fulfilled quite clearly. I when we came up, I was kind of thinking, I hope we kind of base our model off them, because they have ambition like us. They've been successful in the past. They
Mm.
came back up to the Premier League and hoped that they could, at least be a very solid Prem side. I wouldn't say they're too solid right now. I don't think they'll get relegated, but they're very inconsistent and up and down. So I think for that reason they are definitely beatable. But we said this against Bournemouth and Fulham and Leicester, and that did go very well. So from that point of view, I don't really see us beating anyone. But obviously, I think we have to still keep the faith, obviously. And we're all saying Tristan Cooper. We've got to actually do that, which I definitely will. But yeah, they have some great players in there for sure. Obviously, Matty Cash coming back is going to be very strange. That's if he's playing, because I know he's been out. But it's weird, both teams really. Villa haven't won for quite a while. They've drawn the last 2 games, and obviously they lost a few before that. I think that actually no, actually they've drawn. I'm talking nonsense. Actually, they beat Southampton before the international break, but they haven't won that many games. Is my point. And they probably would want to be higher than where they are. So they pose a threat, but they definitely have their weaknesses as well. And I think we can definitely exploit that. That if we go about it the right way and we get behind them.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I do agree with that.
Yeah,
The only thing, let's hope the players react positive with the news. I'm sure they will hopefully uh, they will hopefully put spin in the step. Hopefully he's back, personally.
oh yeah. I really hope he's back. Definitely.
Patrick's in a Rad's blood we trust from
Thank
Patrick.
you very much, Patrick.
It is quality. Jimmy said, I don't think we lose to Philly. I'm more confident about this result than I've been for weeks and weeks. That they did get result against Harlan City. And obviously Harlan isn't human.
He's not
He's a footballing cyborg sent back in time from the future.
cheat code Haaland.
Now the fans will get round the Mr. Cooper and team, or there's uncertainty not over now. Uh, Definitely. I mean, as you said, I completely forgot Matty Cash plays for Villa because he didn't play against Leeds, so he hadn't been playing, so I completely forgot about him. But yeah,
Yeah,
being the
yeah.
first time Matty Cash returns to the City ground in 3 years since he left, I mean, he would have a really good reception from the Forest fans. Obviously for what he's done.
Yeah, I always find it sad with Cash because he never got to say goodbye to the fans or have a game where he thought, yeah, this is the last time I'm going to play in front of fans, because obviously he left during the lockdown season and the tail end of the year before. Obviously there was no fans, and I always found it gutting the way he left because he was such a fantastic player and he developed into being a right back under Lamucci, which was a revelation to his whole career, and it's now where he plays. And um, I still think he's a brilliant player. Still really like him. It's not like some players that leave and I think, right, I don't want anything to do with you now. I still look out for him and think, yeah, he's got a lot of potential to be even better than what he is already. So yeah, it'd be weird for him because he still likes Forest. He still comes back to Forest occasionally. Like he was at the Liverpool Cup game last year. I actually saw him arrive, and yeah, it's great. It was great to see him again. Yeah, I still kind of miss him, but ultimately we've had Spence since, and I know Nico's a bit up and down right now, but we do have options there that can hopefully replace him. But yeah, great player. I watched a podcast with him and Ben Foster, and he was just saying he's been out injured for the last few games, but he's on his way back very soon. I saw a picture of him in training actually on his Instagram like the other day. So I have a feeling he will be involved this time for Villa. Yeah, it was weird seeing like Ben Osborne come back last season a few times and Jed come back start of this year, but I think Cash would be even worse to be honest because he was a really really good talent for us.
Mm. Yeah, completely agree. And that's the thing, to be fair, because I mean, Osborne, he did get a good reception. Jed got a better reception than Benny Osborne did.
Hmm.
But I think Matt Cash will probably just edge it for them because obviously with the effect he had with the club and that. So
Hmm.
and I mean, being one done ones, I think for 90 minutes you wouldn't want him to do anything against us, but after that you will get that sort of send off that he does to deserve, as you said.
Oh, yeah, I think you know if he like comes over to take a throw in or something, he'll get a round of applause from the fans around him. And when he first comes out, I think he definitely will because he's even more personal than Jed because obviously he came through our academy cash, whereas Jed didn't. He was actually our player. We got a lot of money for him. Um, and it was just good for him to see the Forest fans again. Obviously from the opposition though, and yeah, I will feel a bit nervous whenever he's on the ball, thinking please don't get an assist or especially a goal because that'll be really painful to see. But yeah, his game's gone up to a whole new level since he's left us. He's been excellent for Villa. He's obviously now playing for Poland, which is amazing. It'd be, it may not be our player, but to see him at the World Cup would be excellent.
Yeah, definitely. What sort of how would you line up against Villa?
I was thinking about this earlier. Actually, I think there's lots of different things we could do, but for me, I'd obviously I think I'd stick with Henderson. Well, I definitely would, even though it's been a bit shaky. I don't think there's anyone better than him. So Dino in goal. For me, the fullbacks are a must to change, in my opinion. Not been a fan of Lodi at all, and I think Nico definitely has potential as a player. I was really excited by when we signed him, but he's not been working out recently. So for me, I'd play Toffolo and Aurier. Aurier looked really good against Leicester, and I think Toffolo has been heavily mistreated by everyone. I think he more than deserves to start games. Didn't do anything wrong when he was in the team. Now the centre backs are interesting. I think if Niakate's fit, he obviously plays, and it's who goes next to him. I don't think Cook should be in. As much as I like Cookie, he definitely shouldn't be starting. So then you have to drop one of Wall or McKenna. Obviously, Wall's been out the last few games. I think it's mental for me to be saying drop Scott McKenna, but I'd probably play Wall. To be honest, I think his captain Tom out the side, I think has done him good, and we've seen that it's not all down to him. The lack of um, you know stability at the back. I don't think it's Wall's fault, and I think when he came against Fulham, we saw that he actually made us better. Arguably for those last 20 minutes or so. Midfield's interesting because there's lots of different combinations. For me, it's quite easy if everyone's fit. I think Mangala and O'Brien definitely in there. And then you've got a choice of one of Freuler, Chiarti, or Yates. Now, I think some people would say Freuler because of his profile, but I've not been hugely impressed with him. We haven't actually seen him playing a 3 yet, so that might obviously make it different for him. But I'd personally stick with Yatesy. I think he offers a lot in that midfield. The leadership, I think the stick he's got has been really harsh, and I think Yates is one of those players where he has to have someone slightly better than him next to him to really get the best out of him. And he's a good player in his own right, but playing with Ghana last season, I think we saw it raised his game to a whole new level, and obviously Cooper developing him as well. So I think with Yates playing next to O'Brien or Mangala, and obviously especially both of them, they're two players that are even better than Yates, really, and particularly Mangala. And I think both of them playing with Yates, it could make him a really strong player. You could get the best out of him for sure. So then in attack, I'd stick with Brennan out wide on the right hand side. Up front is interesting. I'd probably go with Awani still. He needs to be burying his chances more, but I just have faith in it. It'll come good, and ultimately he scored 3 goals for us. I think Surridge does deserve his chance though at some point. I think he definitely deserves a go. And on the left hand side, certainly wouldn't be Lingard, and I think Gibbs White is obviously a great player, but he's not really shown that much so far. So I personally think we need to finally see Emmanuel Dennis get a start. So I'd personally start Dennis on the left hand side and see what he can do. And obviously, Him and Awani are mates. They play for Nigeria together, and I think that might actually be good to see them play together. If it doesn't work, then obviously you make a change, and you've got some great firepower there with Gibbs White to come off the bench, and I still hope that Lingard can click into gear at some point. But yeah, I've been thinking about it long and hard, as you can tell. I'm not really sure that's what I'd pick. But there's lots of different combinations you could do.
Yeah. How's Cook looking for bookings? I'm not sure, to be fair. Not really kept track count on bookings.
I'm not sure, to be honest. We've got at least 2 bookings this season, I think.
And then I got a decent toffee then. Okay. then, but yeah, completely agree. I mean, what's your score prediction for Monday?
I mean, I find it really hard to predict the scores at the moment because there's 2 things going on. It's your heart and your reality. I'd like to think we can get the win this time. Like I think with Leicester, even with Leicester in their scenario, I said 1-0 Forest, but I wasn't hugely confident. After that game, I shouldn't be that confident. But I think the Cooper signing a new contract and it not being the total opposite of it being huge pressure, I think could be very, very powerful. So I really hope we can win 2-1. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet because I think we're way off doing that at the moment. But I think 2-1 Forest. But I still won't be exactly confident until the final whistle's gone because we can't hold on to leads at the moment. And I just hope we can deal with that better because it's when we have to, we can't continue doing that. So I don't really know. I just think it's tough to predict, but I will go for a very narrow win for Forest, and I think the atmosphere will be very strong. I think we'll get behind them.
Hey, I completely agree. I think the atmosphere will be unreal Monday now. I'll probably put it up there with the West Ham game when everyone found out Derby went down. Like the atmosphere of that night was just unreal. So I think touch wood, the atmosphere will be up.
Yeah, I actually think that West Brom game was actually really good. Remember, every game was great last season, but that's actually a game that goes under the radar for atmosphere. I mean, I remember every game last season, not the Sheffield playoff game, the game against Swansea when we won 5-1. That was deafening, that game. But yeah, fantastic. Look, we've got to get it back up there. The last 2 games it's been a little bit flat, hasn't it? So it will be good to see it. Hopefully, loud and hostile.
Yeah, definitely. Do you want to say about your socials?
Yeah, anyone new watching, please come and check me out. Rads, I do lots of voice content like Dan, and yeah, come check me out, everyone. I'd appreciate it for match day vlogs and that kind of thing as well. So yeah, and there's my Twitter here as well, of course. So yeah, and of course, sub to Dan.
Thank you. I will put Ratchet's thingy in the title so you click on it and click subscribe so you can get to it a lot more quicker. Mark said 3-1 to Forest, BJ, MGW and Traro. Loving the positivity.
Suddenly changed, doesn't it?
What an hour does to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to thank you for watching. Thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thank you.
So, up the Reds.
You Reds.